The wrestling world exploded when news broke that Jade Cargill, one of the most dominant forces in professional wrestling, found herself at the center of a controversy that would shake the foundations of sports entertainment. What started as another electrifying performance turned into a nightmare scenario that had fans, executives, and fellow wrestlers talking for all the wrong reasons. The incident that unfolded during what was supposed to be her crowning moment became the talk of every wrestling forum, social media platform, and backstage conversation across the industry. If you're curious about what really happened and want to stay updated with more shocking wrestling news, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the latest developments in the world of professional wrestling. Jade Cargill had been building momentum like a freight train with no brakes. Her presence in the ring was undeniable, her athleticism unmatched, and her confidence radiated through every entrance, every move, and every victory she secured. She had worked tirelessly to establish herself as not just another wrestler but as a legitimate superstar who could carry an entire division on her shoulders. The fans loved her, the merchandise flew off the shelves, and the company had invested heavily in making her the face of their women's division. Everything was pointing toward a legendary career that would be remembered for generations to come. The night in question started like any other major event. The arena was packed with thousands of screaming fans who had paid top dollar to witness history in the making. Jade was scheduled to compete in a high-stakes match that would determine the direction of the entire division for months to come. The build-up had been intense, with weeks of promos, interviews, and confrontations that had the wrestling community buzzing with anticipation. This wasn't just another match on the card, this was the match everyone had circled on their calendars. The company had pulled out all the stops with elaborate production, special lighting, and a presentation that screamed main event caliber. Backstage, the atmosphere was electric as performers prepared for their moments under the bright lights. Jade went through her usual routine, checking her gear, going over the match layout with her opponent, and mentally preparing herself for the physical and emotional demands of performing at the highest level. Her outfit for the night was particularly striking, designed to make a statement and reflect the importance of the occasion. The costume department had worked closely with her to create something that would look spectacular under the arena lights while allowing her the mobility needed to execute her signature moves with precision and power. As her entrance music hit and the crowd erupted, Jade made her way to the ring with the swagger and confidence that had become her trademark. The energy in the building was off the charts as fans chanted her name and held up signs showing their support. She climbed into the ring, posed for the cameras, and prepared to deliver another show-stealing performance that would have people talking for weeks. The referee checked both competitors, the bell rang, and the match was underway. The opening moments were exactly what everyone expected: hard-hitting action, near falls, and displays of athleticism that had the audience on their feet. Then it happened. During a particularly aggressive sequence of moves, something went catastrophically wrong with Jade's ring attire. What should have been a routine maneuver turned into a mortifying moment as her costume suffered a significant malfunction that exposed far more than anyone had bargained for. The cameras caught everything in crystal clear high definition, broadcasting the incident to millions of viewers watching around the world. The referee immediately recognized the situation and tried to signal for assistance while attempting to continue the match without drawing additional attention to what had occurred. Jade, to her credit, tried to maintain her composure and adjust her gear while still engaging with her opponent. The production truck went into panic mode as directors scrambled to cut away from certain angles and adjust camera shots to minimize the exposure of what had happened. Commentary team members struggled to fill the dead air without directly acknowledging the wardrobe failure while trying to keep viewers focused on the athletic competition taking place. Ringside crew members rushed to provide covering materials or solutions, but the damage had already been done. The moment had been captured, screenshots were already circulating on social media, and the wrestling internet was absolutely losing its collective mind over what they had just witnessed. Behind the scenes, executives were having emergency meetings before the match had even concluded. Legal teams were contacted about potential liability issues, public relations specialists were crafting statements, and everyone was trying to figure out how such a significant oversight could have happened with their top star on one of their biggest shows. The costume that had been approved, tested, and cleared for use had somehow failed at the worst possible moment, creating a situation that threatened to overshadow everything else about the event. Questions were being raised about quality control, safety protocols, and whether proper procedures had been followed in the preparation process. Jade somehow managed to finish the match despite the embarrassment and distraction of what had occurred. She delivered her finishing move, secured the victory, and quickly exited the ring as soon as her hand was raised in triumph. What should have been a moment of celebration and glory was instead a hasty retreat backstage where she was immediately surrounded by concerned officials, wardrobe personnel, and company representatives all trying to understand what went wrong. The look on her face told the entire story, a mixture of shock, anger, embarrassment, and disbelief that her big moment had been ruined by something completely beyond her control. The immediate aftermath was chaotic as the company went into damage control mode. Social media platforms were flooded with clips, comments, and reactions to what had transpired. Some fans expressed sympathy and support for Jade, recognizing that the wardrobe malfunction was an accident and not something she had any control over. Others made jokes, created memes, and turned the incident into viral content that spread across the internet like wildfire. Wrestling news websites ran breaking stories, YouTube channels posted reaction videos, and podcasters dedicated entire episodes to dissecting every angle of the controversy. What made the situation even more complicated was the emergence of conflicting narratives about who was responsible for the malfunction. The wardrobe department insisted they had followed all standard procedures and that the outfit had been properly constructed and tested before the show. Some reports suggested that Jade had requested last-minute alterations that may have compromised the structural integrity of the costume. Others claimed that the physical demands of the match exceeded what the outfit was designed to withstand. Finger-pointing and blame-shifting became rampant as everyone involved tried to protect their own reputations and careers. The company found itself in an impossible position. On one hand, they had invested enormous resources in building Jade as a marquee star and didn't want to damage that investment over an unfortunate accident. On the other hand, the incident had generated overwhelmingly negative publicity and raised serious questions about their professional standards and attention to detail. Sponsors were expressing concerns about being associated with such controversy. Television networks were demanding explanations about how this happened on their programming. The pressure to take decisive action was mounting from all directions. Behind closed doors, intense discussions took place about the appropriate response to the situation. Some executives argued that Jade should be protected and supported through this difficult time, emphasizing that she was a victim of circumstance and deserved compassion rather than punishment. Others took a harder line, suggesting that regardless of who was technically at fault, the negative attention and potential legal exposure made it necessary to make an example and show that the company took such matters seriously. The debate grew heated as different factions within the organization pushed their competing visions of how to handle the crisis. Days turned into weeks as the story refused to die down. Every wrestling media outlet continued covering new angles and developments. Fans remained divided in their opinions about what should happen next. Jade herself remained largely silent on social media, following advice from legal counsel and company officials who urged her to avoid making any public statements that could complicate matters further. The uncertainty about her future status created a vacuum that was filled with endless speculation and rumor-mongering from sources claiming to have inside information. Then came the announcement that sent shockwaves through the wrestling community. In a brief and carefully worded statement, the company revealed that they had reached a mutual decision to part ways with Jade Cargill effective immediately. The statement thanked her for her contributions, wished her well in her future endeavors, and provided no specific details about the circumstances leading to the separation. The use of standard corporate language did nothing to dampen speculation that this was absolutely related to the wardrobe malfunction incident and its aftermath. The wrestling world reacted with a mixture of outrage, disbelief, and vindication depending on which side of the controversy people fell on. Industry insiders quickly began leaking additional details about what had transpired behind the scenes. Reports emerged that the final decision came after contentious negotiations about liability, compensation, and public messaging around the incident. Some sources claimed that Jade had been prepared to accept a suspension and move forward, but that executives ultimately decided a clean break was preferable to ongoing association with the controversy. Others suggested that Jade herself had grown frustrated with how the company handled the situation and was actually relieved to be free from an organization she felt had failed to protect her when she needed support most. The legal ramifications of the situation began to unfold as both sides retained attorneys to protect their interests. Questions arose about whether proper safety protocols had been followed, whether Jade had any grounds for a wrongful termination claim, and whether the company could be held liable for the emotional distress and reputational harm caused by the incident. Contracts were scrutinized, depositions were scheduled, and what started as a wardrobe malfunction evolved into a full-blown legal battle that threatened to drag on for months or even years. Fellow wrestlers began speaking out about the situation, with reactions varying widely across the industry. Some expressed sympathy for Jade and criticized the company for not standing behind their talent when accidents happen. Others remained conspicuously silent, either unsure of what to say or worried about potential repercussions for weighing in on such a sensitive matter. A few voices suggested that the entire situation reflected deeper problems within the wrestling industry regarding how performers are treated, how much control they have over their presentation, and what happens when things go wrong through no fault of their own. The controversy also reignited broader conversations about wardrobe choices in wrestling and whether the emphasis on appearance and spectacle sometimes comes at the expense of functionality and safety. Critics pointed to numerous other incidents over the years where similar malfunctions had occurred, arguing that the industry needed to prioritize performer dignity and security over creating eye-catching visuals. Defenders of current practices maintained that wrestling has always been about larger-than-life presentation and that isolated incidents shouldn't drive wholesale changes to how the business operates. For Jade herself, the experience represented a devastating turn in what had been an otherwise meteoric rise to prominence. From being positioned as the future of her division to suddenly being unemployed and the subject of endless debate and scrutiny was a fall that few could have predicted. The psychological toll of having such a private and embarrassing moment become public fodder for discussion and mockery cannot be overstated. Beyond the professional setbacks, there was genuine human suffering in watching someone's career trajectory get derailed by circumstances largely outside their control. The financial implications were equally significant. Jade had been earning substantial income from her wrestling contract, merchandise sales, and appearance fees that all vanished overnight with her release. Sponsors and endorsement deals that had been in negotiation were suddenly put on hold or cancelled entirely as companies became wary of association with controversy. The sudden loss of income combined with mounting legal expenses created financial pressure that added another layer of stress to an already difficult situation. Years of work building a brand and reputation seemed to evaporate in an instant. As the dust began to settle months after the initial incident, the wrestling community remained divided about the ultimate lessons and takeaways from the Jade Cargill wardrobe malfunction saga. Some viewed it as a cautionary tale about the unforgiving nature of the entertainment industry, where one bad moment can destroy a career regardless of past accomplishments. Others saw it as an example of corporate cowardice, where organizations prioritize public relations over loyalty to the people who make their product successful. Still others argued it demonstrated the need for better systems and protections to prevent such incidents from occurring in the first place. The broader impact on the wrestling industry included increased scrutiny of wardrobe procedures, with multiple companies implementing new protocols and quality control measures designed to prevent similar malfunctions. Insurance policies were reviewed and updated to address potential liability issues. Performer contracts were amended to include new language about incident response and dispute resolution. While these changes couldn't undo what happened to Jade, they represented acknowledgement that the existing systems had failed and needed improvement. The story of what happened to Jade Cargill serves as a stark reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in professional wrestling. One moment you're on top of the world with everything going your way, and the next you're dealing with circumstances that threaten to define your entire career for all the wrong reasons. The incident sparked necessary conversations about performer safety, corporate responsibility, and the human cost of entertainment spectacle. Whether Jade will eventually return to wrestling, either with her former company or elsewhere, remains to be seen. What cannot be denied is that her experience changed the industry in ways both visible and invisible, forcing everyone involved to confront uncomfortable truths about how business is conducted. If you found this story as compelling as we did and want to stay informed about all the latest breaking news, shocking developments, and behind-the-scenes drama from the world of professional wrestling, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another update.